In this video, you will learn about what energy is, what potential energy is, and different forms of potential energy. Energy is defined as the ability to cause change and do work. Energy can take many forms and can be transferred between these forms. It is impossible to create new energy or destroy existing energy. It can only be changed from one form to another. All forms of energy are categorized into two groups, potential energy and kinetic energy. In this video, we will discuss potential energy. Potential energy is stored energy that could be used to cause change or do work. For example, the rock on this cliff has the potential to fall, which would be considered a change. If you were to push down on the spring in this picture, it has stored potential energy. The spring has the potential to spring back upwards, which would be a change in the spring. Again, potential energy is when energy is stored and has the potential to cause change or do work. Let's look at some different types of potential energy. Gravitational potential energy is the first form of energy we'll look at, and it's one of the most common forms of energy in our daily lives. We see it and experience it every day. Gravitational potential energy is defined as the stored energy of an object suspended above Earth's surface. All of the pieces of clothing here in the closet have gravitational potential energy because they are suspended above the floor. Each one of them can spend that energy if they were to fall towards the floor. The higher up an object is, the more potential energy it has. For example, the shoes on the bottom shelf have less potential energy than the skirts above them because they are lowered to the ground. Objects with a higher mass also have more gravitational potential energy. The backpack on the top right shelf is just as high as the pillows, but since its mass is higher, it has more gravitational potential energy. For our second type of potential energy, suppose you go outside and play basketball with some friends. You got the energy to do this from the food you eat. Your body breaks down the food you eat and releases energy from the chemicals that make up the food. Chemical energy is defined as the energy stored in and released from the bonds between atoms. Remember that atoms can bond together and these bonds contain energy. Aside from food, another classic example of chemical potential energy is fossil fuels. Oil and gasoline are fossil fuels that are made up of chemicals that can be burned, and when the bonds between their atoms are broken, energy is released. These matches have a chemical potential energy that is rapidly released as a flame when exposed to a spark. While chemical energy is the energy stored in the bonds between atoms, nuclear energy is the potential energy stored within a single atom. Believe it or not, the most common example of nuclear energy is the sun. The sun produces nuclear energy through nuclear fusion. Nuclear fusion is when the nuclei of two different atoms combine together. You likely associate nuclear potential energy with nuclear power plants. Power plants split atoms apart into protons and neutrons in a process called nuclear fission, which also releases energy. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.